Hello, dividend executives. Welcome back. The stock market is open, so you already know we are buying stocks and we are adding assets to the portfolio. Well, we have made it to month 2 of margin investing. This month, we on average used about $16,000 worth of Robinhood's money. And so I want to go over the stats. Was it worth it? How much money did we pay in interest? How much did we make off of that capital invested that we used from Robinhood? And should I do it going forward? Also, as always, every single week, we like to buy assets and we like to build our dividend income. I deposited some more money into the account this week. We had a bunch of dividends hit the account, so we will be going over those as well. And we have some ex-dividend dates coming up that we need to buy some assets before. So first and foremost, let's jump into it. So for the day, we're basically break even at $27,940. For the week, up $1,000. For the month, up $2,800. 3 months, up $582. Year to date, $2,700. 1 year, just under $5,000. And then all time, 14.88% or $3,617. So not too bad for a dividend account with not a whole lot of growth stocks, and cannot complain. So we have $11,368 worth of buying power. We have an option on the table from CleanSpark, and we had a bunch of dividends that came in. So first and foremost, let's talk about this week. We had almost just under $600 worth of deposits into the account, and we had that through dividends, and we also had that through making some additional deposits. So let's come back here to next week. And let's get an update on the account. So we started October off, of course, with VTI at 793. We had a couple of market buys, and then we had some dividends hit. IWMY, $43.07. JEPQ, $16.60. And then we had QDTE at $30.67. TSLY at $43.88. YMAX at 1530, XDTE at 3224, and RDTE at 2443. And of course, those all reinvested. I deposited $100 just this morning, and then we also had BITO hit the account for $340.80. And of course, we had our margin interest charge this morning, which was the reason why we wanted to create this video, to go over that. So, and Robinhood Gold as well. So got $200 deposited in the account, a bunch of dividends hit the account. We have lots of money to spend. We got $25 from the CleanSpark calls, but I want to talk about margin, and I want to buy some stocks. So first things first, let's buy stocks as we do each and every single Wednesday. And we are going to be starting it off with GLAD. Right now on GLAD, we are up 20%. So we will be averaging up or $142. This has been a great investment for me so far. Not a whole lot of cash into this, only 832, but I do like this position and I do want to continue adding to it. With the next dividend date coming up on 10/20, we're going to buy some shares. So what do? Well, we buy $25, which is going to be 1 share. Of course, we are averaging up, but that's okay. We just buy stocks every single week, regardless of the price action. So that's our first one there. Next one we're going to be adding to is DIVO, 32.5 shares. We are up 12.23% on this position, or $1,300. So a nice total return. Plus, we get the dividends every single month. We have ex-dividend date coming up on the 27th. So I want to make sure I get a purchase in before then. So we're doing another 25 into this, or 0.6 shares. And we slowly increase our position there. So DIVO and GLAD added to the portfolio, and continue to add more shares to. The next one is going to be YMAX. We have been scaling up this one, especially since the weekly dividends have been hitting. It has been nice to see the drip slowly accumulate. We're down 1% on this position as of right now, but we're here and we're ready to buy some more shares. We're going to do 50 on this one, 2.83 shares, and I believe the dividend coming out for this one was 20 cents, just over 20 cents, or 20 and a half. So we'll have to take a look at that, but so far, I've really liked this fund since we purchased it. You can see here our last dividend was $15.30. Before that, $15.54. And these are being reinvested, and they are buying me 0.86 shares. So the goal is to get this over 1 share every single week, so the drip really starts to take off. And we will continue to do that each and every single week as we build this position up. So there we are at 77 shares on YMAX, $50 added there. And then Roundhill RDTE 43.90. Over the last couple of weeks, the dividend payments are coming up on the third payment coming out. We have 63 shares here, $2,800. We are up 4.56% on the position, and we have had some nice dividends slowly hit the account. If we come down here, you can see $22.20, $24.43, and RDTE is slowly stacking in the account. So we're coming in here and we're buying some more. We talked about it last week. I am not buying any more QDTE or XDTE with my cash. I have the drip on, but I am now focusing on getting up my RDT position. My QDTE and XDTE are at the point where they are dripping enough to where I think they are going to hit my goal of 150 shares by the end of 2024. And so the focus now is scaling up RDT. Obviously, the dividends have been really good since it came out. I think they are going to come down significantly over the next couple of weeks. But for now, my focus is scaling, right? We have about $16.5 thousand between QDT, XDT, and RDT that we bought fully on margin. And we are just continuing to scale those up. We're letting the drip go every single week. We're buying ourselves more shares. You can see here on XDT alone, this last reinvestment bought us 0.61 shares. The one before that bought us 0.5 shares. So every single month we're adding about just probably over 2 shares a month just on drip alone. And so we have a couple of months left. We should get ourselves probably by, I would say March of next year, we'll probably be to the 150 mark if we do nothing else. And so we're just letting drip do that. And then I really have to turn on the burners for RDT. And that's why we put the $200 into it today. So we have a bunch of news on the docket. I want to go over it. But first thing I want to go over is the margin interest, right? So let's go into that right here. So last month was $48.50. We went over that in the first video. And this month we're going over this September 9th to October 9th. Average margin used $16,797.27. Interest rate 6.41%. $89.76 is the total interest we paid for our Robinhood margin on our Yield Max or on our Roundhill products, right? So the goal was to test out if we went into margin and we bought these 0 DTE funds, would it be worth it? How much money would we make in dividends each and every single month? And are we wasting our time? Well, so far the numbers are showing that it's really good. So let's jump into that. Let's look at it a little bit more. But I just want to show you just all transparency here. Obviously the buying power, right now we have $17,913 worth of margin used. Currently we are at 44% on our buffer. My goal is to always stay above 30%. So we could even go up more from here. As I continue to deposit cash, obviously this changes the buffer rates. And then our interest rate is now down to 6.25. When we started this journey, it was above that. So it is nice to see these slowly come down. I think it was at 6.75 last time. And our daily interest is $2.89. So not too bad. If we use more interest, we pay less. So if we get up to $50,000, we're at 6.05. But I think as we get into this new rate cut environment going into next year, I think these rates are going to come down into the 5s, maybe even below by the end of 2025. And so that is why I'm making the margin play as of right now, just to maximize my money. So let's jump into a couple of things. I have a couple updates I want to talk about. First things first, I want to talk about this. Roundhill announced their weekly dividend distributions. Ex-dividend date is on 10/10, which is tomorrow if you're watching this video as it is launched. Payday is on 10/11. QDTE 26.9 cents per share, which is up from the 21.7 last week. XDTE 20.2 per share, which is down from the 22.8 last week, but pretty close to, so not too bad. And then RDT 24.9 per share, which is down from 38.6. So pretty big decrease in RDT, but it makes sense when you look at the numbers and the calls that they're selling and the premium they're making each and every single week. They've got to come down into the 20-cent range. But for me, if we get paid 20 cents every single week and we do better at controlling the NAV depletion, then it's worth it for me. So I would rather see these 20 cents rather than the 30 and the 40 and the 50 cent weeks, as long as the NAV can hold up better. So that's the update there on QDT, XDT, and RT in terms of the dividends. Another update that I do want to share with you, because we are a dividend focused account, this came out today, and that is YMAX. So YMAX is going to be paying 20.44 cents like we talked about, which is a 60.44% distribution rate. YMAG at 28, NVDUI, which we do own, at 1.09, so a little bit down from last month. DIPS, FBY at 92 cents, JPMO, MRNY, and then this is a new one, and that is PLTY. So PLTY is out. If you've been following a lot of people on Twitter or X or even YouTube, Palantir has been on an absolute journey, just going straight up over the last couple of months, even over the last year. And so it makes sense that they're coming out with a new fund to try and get some of that volatility, try to get some of that premium. This is one I may look at buying because I do not own Palantir as of right now. But it'll be interesting to see how much this one pays. But it is good news for the income space on how much is going to be coming out. So that's the Roundhill update. That's the Yield Max update. Now off to the spreadsheet. As always, we consult the spreadsheet each and every single week, and we want to see, are we wasting our money in these Roundhill funds, right? That's why everybody's here, to see if we're wasting our money putting the $16,000 worth of Robinhood's money to work for us. So let's take a look at our journey so far. QDTE, we've been at this for 10 weeks with QDTE now. We have amassed $379 worth of dividends, not including what's going to be coming on Friday. 8.28 shares dripped so far. We have taken our lot up from 57 up to 141 shares, and that continues to climb. And our total return, $303 in the green. XDTE, similar picture, right? Week 10, 5.46 shares dripped, all purchased by the shares themselves. Income, $300 and $320 with a total return as of right now. And then RDTE is a much smaller picture because we're only in week 2, now coming to week 3. But our total return was $159, just under $50 worth of income, and drip of 1.05. So we've already dripped ourselves a share. So let's take a look at the numbers, right? This is month 1 and month 2. Like I said, this is month 2 being on Robinhood margin. We doubled our usage in Robinhood in terms of the margin because we saw that the numbers were making sense last month. But let's look at this month. So this month we paid $89.76 worth of margin interest. Our dividends received from that time period, and what it is, I just took all the dividends, added it up, and we have $330.87 worth of dividends received. We used $16,797 of margin on average, and our rate we paid was 6.41%. The total return after margin paid was $241.11. So a little bit down from last month, but our rate also came down. So our payouts came down on QDTE, RDTE, and XDTE, but so did our rates. So the picture doesn't actually look too much different from last month. So $297 last month, this month $241 in the green. And if you were to annualize that just by times it by 12, we're talking about $2,893 extra that we would make throughout the year if we were to continue doing the same thing and the picture looked very similar, right? So really not too bad. On an annual scale, if you were to scale this up, obviously your interest would go down. As we saw in Robinhood, as you go up in margin interest, you go down in the amount of interest you pay. So really, you could scale this up and things could get really crazy. You could be adding $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 worth of additional income over the margin interest rate to your account. Will we do that? I don't know. Time will tell. Right now, the numbers make sense for me, right? If somebody said, hey, you pay me $90 and I'll pay you back $330, I'm going to take that $241 gain, right? It just makes sense for right now. Now, one thing I should note, this is obviously not financial advice, but anytime you are using margin, there is risk associated with that. The reason why I'm using margin in this account is because this is an income account for me that I'm purely just trying to get my income up to several $1,000s a month over the next couple of years. And because if I want to, I could pay this margin. I could sell the assets, of course, and pay the margin off, or I could just transfer money in and pay this margin off tomorrow if I needed to. So those are some parameters that whenever you're using margin, just make sure that you're being smart with it, that you can cover the balance or you can sell the funds. But the reason why I'm doing that is because these are pretty safe assets in the sense that I'm investing in the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, and the Russell 2000. Those are about as generic as it gets when it comes to funds. I'm not investing in single stocks with my margin. I'm investing purely in ETFs that sell options on big funds, right? We're talking about a 100 stock block, a 500 stock block, and a 2,000 stock block, right? So I think it's pretty safe, and so far it's done me really well. I'm up on total return on all these assets, and this just continues to stack. So will I scale up? Potentially. For right now, probably not, but I want to get all these funds to 150 because we've talked about it before. If I get all these to 150, we're talking about, as of today's numbers, $450 a month worth of dividend income. So if I'm paying, let's say if I'm paying 90 or even let's say $100, if I'm paying $100 a month in interest and I'm receiving 450 in return, I'll take a $350 net gain every single month. And not to mention, those shares are stacking, right? That's just the shares I have now. As my shares continue to stack, my dividend continue to be reinvested, the income's going to go up and up and up and up and up. And the margin interest rate is going to stay the same, right? Or go down. Because as you saw over the last couple of days, I've made $592 of deposits, even accounting for the interest that I just paid with my deposits and my dividends that I've made over the last couple of days. Even with the purchases today, we still are paying down our margin interest rate. So as you pay that down, the interest is going to go down, the share count's not going to go down, and hopefully the payments continue to go up. So that is where I'm sitting as of right now. If you're here for the dividend content every single month right now, October, we're sitting at $562, not too bad. We have some dividends that are going to continue to come in. We should break 1,000, no problem. Between Round Hill and Yield Max, we're looking at $672 worth of payouts. So not too bad. We've seen NVDY come in. We've seen YMAX come in. We've seen TSLY come in. We have MSTY and CONY still on the docket. So if those stay equal, we're talking about $70 from MSTY and CONY at $79. We will see how QDTE XDTE and RTE continue to do, but really we're looking really good. To already be nine days into the month and we're already at 562, not too bad. Total, like we said, 562. I'm looking to break 1,000 as always every single month. This is the diagram. This is the bar graph, for the year. We are just on an upward trajectory. Last year at this time, we were at $123.80. We've obviously surpassed that already. And in November, we're looking to beat 118. Should be easy. So this is the goal. We are continuing to stack assets each and every single week. We're continuing to buy stocks each and every single week, and we continue to scale up. If margin makes sense, then it makes sense. For me, it's making sense right now, and I will continue to make sense until the numbers don't make sense. So I'm going to keep scaling up. I'm going to keep buying assets every single week, and I'm going to keep depositing a minimum of $500 a month of fresh cash into this account, and we're going to keep investing. So that's my journey. That's the story for this week. I hope this helps somebody that's maybe looking at investing with margin and what they're looking at investing in margin is. But thank you, as always, for tuning in. Happy investing. Don't forget to drop